Hey everyone, and welcome to an all new episode of Wicked Unscripted, where we have unscripted conversations about some of the most popular reality shows on television. Geez, if I'm already stumbling over my words, it's going to be a night. Just kidding. My name is Abigail Adams. I am your host for this podcast, and joining me today, as always, is the lovely Sarah Talks Big Brother. And we're here to discuss the first wild week of Big Brother 25. I don't even,
Wild
I
is
mean,
putting it so mildly. Was it Mike Bloom that said this has got to be like the most insane first week of Big Brother in history? And he's absolutely right. We've had crazy first weeks. Hell, we had like a wild one last year with, all the Paloma stuff. But
oh my
uh,
God.
yeah, but like just watching her kind of, the simulation stuff and everything. But this was on a different level because while we had absolute absurd things, it was just constant gaming. And these house guests do not sleep. Therefore, we are not
No.
sleeping.
No, before today, I literally slept. Oh, I've probably slept like 16 hours in the
Yeah.
last 24 because I am that zonked from how much
I'm
we've
glad
had
we
to
both
do.
got naps in today because I was
Dear
like, you know what? I
Lord.
need just a 30-minute power. Turned into an hour, but I got it
Well,
in.
well, honestly, thank God for the feeds going down a couple times for me earlier because I like I literally had my phone like sideways while I was napping and I had the live feeds and I'm like, oh, just if I miss it and I fall asleep, I get notifications from like Big Brother Daily and Hamster Watch. So I knew it was gonna come back on at some point, and I was like, okay, I should just wait till they come back. And then I fell asleep and then didn't miss anything, fell back asleep because the feeds went back down.
Yeah.
So it was beautiful. Um, but the last I would say, when did Luke drop the N word? Because that's when the like things just all of a sudden just got insane. That was Wednesday
Technically on
morning.
yeah, technically on day 8 because it was the wee hours of the morning, about 1 a.m.
That was just the
Um,
cherry on top of an
that was
insane
it.
week. I literally was like, "What are you doing?" Oh my god! And in the story that I told Sarah, and I told it on the TikTok live, was I was sleeping. I'd been asleep for like 4 hours. I gave up on the feeds that night because I was tired, and I don't know how it happened, but I just managed to wake up and hear my phone go off and go like, something's happening. I just heard it buzz a
Yeah.
couple times. I'll just give it a quick peek. I'm not gonna like read too much. And it literally just on top says Hamster Watch talking about like what's happening. And I was like, nah, that's actually not how I'm waking up today, really. And that was the first thing I did is I texted Sarah and I'm like, no,
No,
how?
not at all.
Yeah,
No.
it was.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, obviously we want to start from the beginning. This is week 1. So, you know what? We are using a brand new platform. I'd like to pull the house guest picture up on the screen. It might replace their faces, but their faces are a lot more made up than ours. Um, but yeah, I'm going to get this pulled up here shortly, but I want to talk through some of the house guests. And I don't know, if you have, we typically kind of go in chronological order, but because this week has gone all over the place, I feel like maybe we should just go house guest to house guest and kind of talk about what their first week's been like.
Um,
Because I feel
I
like there was so much jumping around that I just kind of don't want to get lost in that.
I don't think we will.
I mean,
I
I'm
think we
telling you
can
anyway.
jump around when we need to, like and like explain who people are, but I don't want things to get too muddled either because I want people to be able to follow.
Yeah, that's been the kind of thing with this week is like, how can
It's been
you,
hard.
with unless you are watching the feeds, how can you possibly keep up? Because
It's so
it's just,
hard.
it's been insane.
Hmm. I think we'll
Uh,
just kind of just run with it, and however it just kind of I feel like however it feels natural, we should just kind of go with and
yeah.
just play
Okay.
it. So let's just at least start with um the HOH that we got for the week, which is Riley, and we got to see a little bit of that on the first episode, real episode after the premiere. Um and I wanted to bring this up because first of all, it's just important. She's the first HOH, and she made it very, very clear that she was like, "I want this HOH. This is something I want." Like,
It was very
not.
divided because all these house guests, they either didn't want the HOH or they really wanted it. It was we had a lot more that were going for it than not, which typically it's the other way around, which you know we started off more interesting there as far as a group of house guests to start the game with.
I'll say it wasn't surprising. Some of the people who were not going for it, like when Bowie was like, "Oh yeah, I'm not going for it," I'm like, "Wow, surprise!"
Mm-hmm. Said no one ever.
Oh my god, it was it, and it wasn't really a great competition in my opinion. It was just a redo of the balance beam comp they did last season, and it really just isn't crazy entertaining to watch on television. And I don't know. I'm not. It's not the worst one they've done. I'll take it over plenty of the others, but it just didn't make for the most punchy Sunday episode. You know, it just kind of
Yeah.
a good chunk of it flat, and they spent a lot of time on it. And I was just like, if you're gonna spend a lot of time on the comp, at least make it a little more interesting than just someone trying to balance on a beam. It doesn't really look
Yeah,
interesting.
it is worth noting that Hisam also performed very, very well in that competition. Um, Hisam,
It's
Jesus
okay.
Christ. But Hisam performed really, really well in that comp. I think he was second place, right? Yeah, he was second.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Riley, went with the blue beam and which looked like and she even said it looked like it was furthest away, but it looked like it was the easiest to go the fastest on because it was the widest rail. This was the balance beam competition. I did like the addition of the swinging.
I did too.
Yeah, what is the
They called them
pendulum
onomatopoeias, but it was just like the pendulum.
pendulums? But yeah,
But
Hisam in the HOH comp, he did it in 22.49 seconds, whereas Riley got it in. I'm working on a little screen, guys. She won it in 16.03 seconds. So we thought he nailed it, and then Riley came in and just really blew everything out of the water.
yeah, they both proved themselves early to be. No, here's the thing. They're already throwing around the word comp beasts, and it's like, nah, nah,
It's
nah,
a
nah, 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 nah,
little
nah, 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 nah.
premature
It's
there.
too
Yeah.
early for that. I'm not saying we're not gonna, because I was just gonna say they have already proven themselves to be hella amazing competitors already. But to call yourself a comp beast this early, that's a bold suggestion.
Yeah.
I don't know. You don't, and first of all, I don't really think you get to name yourself a comp beast, in my opinion. And
No.
people are naming themselves comp beasts, and I'm like, we
I mean,
gotta stop that.
Hisam is well on his way. He is setting a good
Mm.
foundation for his performance, which we'll get into later. But his performance in the what are we calling it? Nomination comp. That
Yep.
was I'm looking at his stats already and they're already really impressive. He came in second with his kicking butt competition.
Mm-hmm. And then he came in second as we're coming here to the
Mm-hmm.
HOH. So he already has 2 second place finishes. And I think some people write off oh, well, he already has just one bit, but that's because it was only 4 people. And it's like, well, when we keep going, you're going to understand why
Yeah.
we're going to have a red flag go up. Because, I mean, we can even just mention this real quickly. He also managed to win the power of veto this week.
Yep. In the atomic
So
wedgie competition.
it's also, I though the stacking isn't my favorite competition, I did like that it was the combination of the stacking competition and then the atomic wedgie competition we got to start Big Brother 11,
Okay,
because
but
that was fun.
listen, you know, I love, we work on a lot of stuff and we are in the lives and it just brings me so much joy to hear when we have a new Big Brother fan or viewer and someone who's just coming into the show. But I'm just thinking about all the people who are Cirie fans that are now watching Big Brother because they love Survivor and they're watching episode 2 and seeing Cirie dressed in something. in a
I don't
choice.
even know what. I don't even know what they were going
hosting
for.
a wedgie competition, hosting a competition that was Survivor-esque in the stacking, but then the house guests are being pulled up by their underwear. So I'm just saying, like, I told y'all from the beginning, I love the camp. I love this cheesiness of it all, but I just want to be a fly on the wall, or I just want to be like living inside the head of someone who is like a Survivor exclusive fan or a challenge fan. And then they're like, let me give Big Brother a shot. And it's fucking wedgies. So just,
it's always a choice.
this is our
like
show.
The competitions. It's like, oh, I know. And it's literally like, this is the show's opportunity to like showcase how interesting it can be. And it's like, these competitions, first that HOH competition and then that POV. I mean, again, it's a choice.
Their choices.
I would have made
I
different
love
ones.
trying to get my family. I'm like, hey, why don't you guys give Big Brother a shot this year so you can actually know and listen to the podcast and check it out and stuff. And like, I just think during a competition like that, I'm shocked my mother isn't calling me like, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
I know, literally. No, literally, like, there are times that when I try to get family members in and they won't do it either. And it was just nice because, like, Grandpa George would always be the person that he didn't care about the camp. He literally was just like, oh my God. He actually loved the camp, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think. I wish more people would embrace it that way because, like, yeah, it's like there's a serious social strategic game. And, like, do we not sit here and cringe like last year? Oh my God, I literally couldn't stand, and I know you liked it, but I couldn't stand the LSD one.
Oh, I loved it.
It
was
just that was the one
awfully
that
amazing.
crossed the cringe line for me.
Oh,
like for
I
secondhand
loved it.
embarrassment. But it wasn't because I didn't like the idea. I had secondhand embarrassment for the contestants because literally like hearing certain people just be like, yeah, I'm just standing in a garden and I guess I see you this. And I'm like, this is so painful. My
Oh,
God.
see, I loved every minute of
I
that.
know you did. Don't
the
even
animations.
well, the animation, I'll say, was great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I love the concept of that comp. Like, I don't want to get, we're talking about this season, not last season.
I do.
But I really do want to see that competition return because it was new. I like our returning comps, but I like when they throw in a new one that's not a total flop. And if you take the theme part out of it, then it's a really great comp.
I absolutely agree. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves because I know we brought up the POV just because we were mentioning Hisam being Hisam.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to discuss first? Do you want to discuss the house divide or just Izzy? Because I feel like there's almost no wrong route to take here. But like they're both core things that didn't really get enough airtime, I felt. Like obviously they showed where the divides were, but like they didn't show how chaotic it was. I don't
know why they're not showing more Izzy. Can we talk about the Izzy of it all? Because they're not doing her any kind of justice on the episodes. And she even made a comment on the live feeds that like, are they not showing me on the episode? Because like they're not calling me to the DR. I'm not being called to the DRs. I'm like, no, girl, they're not. And we like the internet collectively, like everyone feels very strongly. Understand. There are strong feelings one way or another about Izzy, and I am here for it. And Izzy be Izzying is going to be my new t-shirt I'm going to have made this year. I have a Big Brother t-shirt like I add to the collection every year, and I think Izzy be Izzying is going to be a new one I'm going to have done because there's no other way to put it. Today there was shenanigans, but they're the same shenanigans we've seen for the last 10 days, and I just can't get enough. When the feeds were down, I think about 20 hours in, I'm like, I wonder what Izzy's doing.
Oh, I wanted to know, like when we're talking about reactions to like when the feeds were down and all the craziness, like her reactions were the ones I needed to see most. And of course, when the feeds get back, Izzy's in a tizzy. By the way, I need to say right now, that's what I'm
in a tizzy.
I'm stealing that. I don't know. I'm not stealing it. That's mine. I'm taking it. It's mine if it exists nowhere, and I want. And That's literally no. You can take it, Sarah. You're good.
I love it. No, Izzy be Izzying
No, I
is
really like
mine.
that too.
But yeah, so Izzy started off, in the first part of this week. And we are getting into like live feed here, but we're not going to talk spoilers or anything significant. It's just this is really kind of relevant and weird that we had so much fluff in the episodes. You could have filled that with Izzy stuff. Don't tell me
Mm-hmm.
your montage people aren't working on something already. We know she's given enough. But Izzy started in really, really hard immediately. We've talked about the last episode, knew who Cirie and Jared were, and really latched on there. And I think that Cirie's allegiance to Izzy is genuine. But there is that like she has my big secret involved. So, but Izzy is a lot to manage, and there's no one that's better suited to manage her than the icon that is Cirie Fields.
Yeah, I just also feel at the same time that like Cirie shouldn't have to feel like she has to just babysit this girl all season because that's very much a lot of what's gone on. And I know
Very
that might
much.
come off harsh to some people, but like Izzy having this secret is not actually very like it's helpful in a lot of ways for Cirie's game, but it's also really not. And I'm gonna predict that there's gonna be a moment where things come to a head, and I don't know if they're going to remain together by the end of this game because I have to
Oh,
think
well,
like I
shit.
mean
I don't know what's going to happen if
like
the
how
secret gets
are
out. But when we get to live feed stuff, like it's not going to
but
be
somebody
Izzy. Izzy's not going to be the reason that the secret gets out. But we'll get into that later. That's
but
a little teaser for you. But
my question would be is really I'm thinking down the line is do you really think if and I guess it's under the assumption that Cirie and Izzy get a decent ways into the game. There's got to be a point where they're probably pitted against each other. And like just seeing how chaotic Izzy is, I wouldn't put it past Izzy to just be in a state of panic where it's like, well, I'm going to tell somebody because I'm really mad that I heard Cirie say this or that I heard Jared say
yeah.
this and like have that instant reaction because she has had those instant reactions already. And the only
And
reason that they haven't
let's
gotten
give some
bigger is because
examples
Cirie
of
has
those.
simmered.
Let's give some examples of those because I feel like we're just talking about the craziness of Izzy and the show's
Yep.
not showing it. So Izzy's was came in really hard. Comes in very intense in some conversations, and feels things very strongly. Izzy doesn't have just a mild opinion on anything. For example, Izzy hates Cameron. I
With a
don't know why.
capital H hates him.
We
Like,
don't know why. Izzy cannot articulate why, but when she talks about Cameron, she talks about how much she hates him with her eyes popping out of her skull and wild hand motions and looks like she's about to throttle the person in front of her that she's talking to just out of pure passive rage for Cameron. And she brings that kind of energy to so many things. She had a conversation with Riley about
oh
Riley's
my lord.
targets and the using the veto. And apparently during the veto competition, she said, it looked like you were moving kind of slow. Were you trying to throw it? And Riley said, no, I mean, I honestly, like, I thought about throwing it, but ultimately, no, I didn't. Izzy took that and just turned into Izzy NATO through the house to Cirie. She was going to throw it. It's a backdoor, Cirie. She's coming for you. Like, and it turned into this whole, she
She
wanted to
freaked
throw the
Cirie
veto to
out.
back. And
She
it
freaked
did. It
Cirie
freaked
out.
Cirie out. It would freak anybody out. But
Oh my god, well, especially Cirie.
Cirie has done an amazing job at maintaining relationships, low key relationships with everyone in the house, and without just like storming up to the HOH room or reacting on her anxieties. Cirie took a moment and she just made it a point to go and hang out with the parties involved, hang out with Hisam, hang out with Riley, and got a sense and a feel for like their vibes and then their intentions with the veto, and then like was able to calm herself down and realize like, okay, is he just wilding out? Like, And I think she point blank like asked too. Like there wasn't like a back door, we're not backdooring anybody or anything, right? And you're not backdooring me. It's like she was not as direct as Felicia, but Felicia just flat out asked Riley.
Oh my God. Well, also
So who are you working with?
Felicia's just been, and as much as she's been comedic relief this week, she knows this damn game. I've been
She
impressed with
does.
the way she talks about this game, especially as someone who's not a live feeder. She would have me fooled. She
Yeah.
would have me fooled if you didn't tell me that, like, if she didn't say that she hadn't want, I would assume she'd be like a mild live feeder based on certain knowledge that she doesn't have. But excuse me. But the way she talks about the game feels like she knows so much more. So it's just, that's the part that really strikes me. And I think
She's fucking
Cirie
gold.
loves that. Oh, I love her. I love
The
her. She's
falling
the best
aside,
casting we've got since Rennie. Love
the
it.
fact that she just looks at the camera multiple times a day and gives them her grocery list of the shit that she wants is just like queen shit.
Listen, I don't want the Kroger tea bag.
Yeah. She went on a
They're
rant today. She's
horrible.
like, hey, listen, we need blueberries. We need strawberries. We need blackberries. You know what? You could throw some kiwi in there. That would be good too. Oh, and we need seasonings. Okay, so we need seasonings. So get some Lowry's
I
seasoned
guarantee
salt.
you they don't
And
give them adobo though. Like I guarantee you they probably just give them shit like literally like salt and pepper, maybe some onion and garlic powder, but like I guarantee you she's going to be like give me adobo and they're going to be like what's that? And it's like
she also turns, she goes, we need some chocolate chips so we can make some cookies. And then she like looks up at the camera. She's like, can you get us some chocolate BB25? Can you get us some BB25? Can you get us some chocolate chips so we can make some cookies? And then just goes about her bit. Like, that's the way you're supposed to request
I
things.
literally love her. She and also like literally you're supposed to request things in the diary room. You're supposed to
Right.
go in and just be like, "Lulu." She's not wasting her time. She's just
No.
looking at the camera. She's like, "I know you're there. Just listen
Yeah.
to me."
Yeah.
I
I love
love
it.
her.
So I'm waiting because it's
Oh.
going to happen. It will absolutely happen. I'm waiting for the live feed moment where, uh, where Big Brother talks back to her. Because
Oh my
they'll
god, I
throw in a
need it
quip.
so
What was
bad.
it
I
the
need it
thing?
so
Like there was
bad.
one in the backyard where they're like, "Can we get this?" Or did this happen or whatever? And they're like, "Wouldn't you like to know?" And they like all laughed and because he talked back or whatever.
Yes.
Like I'm waiting for that moment.
There was one today. This isn't like anything crazy, but Hisam went to the storage room because he was like told to just go to the storage room for some reason. And then he's just standing there just being like, yeah.
Hello.
And they're like, sorry. And then he's like, sorry, what? And they're like, disregard the last message. Like, everybody's like, thanks, big brother. And
Yeah.
it's not as hilarious here, but like in those moments, it's like, it's basically how they function and get
Yeah.
their messaging in the way it's just it's hilarious to watch them interact with it. I'm excited for more of those interactions and we already got a little bit this season, so I want
Yeah, I
more.
feel like the show did show Felicia falling, but I feel like they're not. I mean, more on the Instagram story, they are showing a little bit more of her and the gold that she is. But Izzy, I really think for some reason they are just completely blanking out on the greatness that is Izzy.
Yeah, I also I'm not disagreeing. I'm trying to find a reason. This is my brain trying to rack up a reason why they would do this. Unless they are worried, really the thing that I can think of, and this is something that's been in my mind, so I've been trying to be careful about like talking super negatively about
Mhm.
Izzy, is that I don't want to talk super negatively about certain reactions because I worry that it is a mental health thing that it could be, where it's like she could be under a certain stressful situation if she has a certain mental health condition. Like this could be part of the reaction. I'm not
Oh yeah,
excusing
I
it. I'm
mean,
just saying like that's part of why I'm just
anxiety
like I don't know.
recognizes anxiety, and I understand like that's just how she physically reacts during anxious moments. I would, if I had to take a guess, I would guess that production is up until this point having a hard time editing it in a way to where the casual viewers don't view her negatively
Yes, that's
And
really where I was going with that. I
yeah,
agree.
and see, like, she is violent, or she's, whatever, because they would be taking a lot of this out of
Mhm.
like, losing a lot of
Mhm.
context, and there would just be,
Mhm.
you just have to see it, to get
Yeah.
it.
And that's part of
Um,
why I was bringing up the mental health part, because I don't think they want to exploit something that they can't really explain to the viewer. Like, especially if it is a mental health thing and you can't just be like, side note, she has a mental health condition. It could be
yeah,
that. It could just
I
be like
honestly
they're just
don't
trying to
think it's a
protect
mental health
her at
thing.
the
I
I'm
think
not saying
this
it
is
is
just Izzy's
necessarily.
personality, and it's probably hard to condense in a way that in clip versions at this point, that gives the context it needs to not be. Because if you just see the one clip that, like, is one of my all-time favorites, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I trust me, I do. There is no other clip. There's no other clip it could be. I don't think.
I fucking hate him. I fucking hate him.
I mean, I get that way sometimes too, but like not to that
Fuck the
degree,
cool
I guess.
kids.
Like, oh my god. Well, first of all, I guess to be fair, the way she was talking about cool kids, I would have had that reaction. But it's the reaction she has around that reaction, right? Like she has that and then
Yes.
she won't stop, like literally like Jared, who is actually like Senor Chaos. Like he like without like he would be more chaotic if people like Izzy weren't in the house. And he's literally sitting there like he was already messy as hell the first couple days. He literally is one of the people trying to talk Izzy down, and he's like, listen, we gotta chill because this is
Yeah.
this is not the vibe. Because really,
Because Izzy did
ultimately,
find herself in some hot water because of a lot of this.
and it's putting both Cirie and Jared in a bad position. This is kind of
Yes.
what I was trying to say, where it's like ultimately, Cirie has to make a decision about how useful Izzy really is for her game. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but like there's got to be a point where she determines when she's too much of a liability. And it people can say, well, she's just going to spill her secret. Have you seen Dan's funeral? People can pull off some damn crazy shit in this house. I'm
Mhm.
not saying she will, I'm not guaranteeing she will, but to write off the fact that Cirie MF Fields could maneuver some way where she was able to keep the secret and able to somehow send Izzy out the door, whether she was the HOH or helping vote or what have you, or even if she was on the block and she had to campaign. I just don't put it past her to find a way to somehow keep the secret. But right now, it's a matter of just not letting Izzy just tell somebody because she's too excited. Because like Izzy has had some loose lips, and I think that's what's concerned me the most. Is sure Jared has loose lips too, so he's almost screwed himself multiple times. Like there was a point where he was like talking about be playing football. And he was like, "Oh yeah, my football coach would literally just call when I would do something wrong. He'd be like, Fields, 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 Fields," and then he had to
Yes.
step back and be like, oh my God, I'm not telling that story again." But it didn't hit anybody. Nobody seemed to pick up on it, and I don't. First of all, I don't know how. I don't know how. That would have been my moment where the light would have gone off. I would have been like, maybe not in that exact moment, but I would have left the conversation and been like,
Yep, and then we have the nickname
I don't know.
situation that, Kirsten dropped on us that happened, she said, about an hour before the live show, um, that they were in the bathroom, and Jared said his nickname was Jay Bleezy, and someone said, "Oh, that's Cirie's son's name." So, I don't see that anything's come of that.
But it's so bad. It's just like they're not
What?
doing great. They're not doing great. And they've been teetering on it and I love them to death. I don't think it stays secret.
No. I don't either.
Mm.
I don't know that it's going to blow up housewide immediately, but I feel like someone's going to figure it out and find a way to use it. Um, but I mean, this group of house guests doesn't keep secrets. I mean, everybody knows who everybody's aligned with, and there's no secrets in the only ones that are doing a successful job of riding the middle. So, backing up a little bit, we have two sides of the house because the last time we talked with you on the podcast, we were at the premiere.
It was a mess.
It was just nothing had happened, but there are two court like basic sides of the house, and on one side of the house you have Riley, Matt, Jag, Blue, Cameron, and America. And Cameron thinks he's riding the middle. He's not.
Not
On the
even
other side of
remotely.
the house, you have Cirie, Jared, Felicia, Bowie, Izzy, Nicole, Mimi, and well, now and Red. Red is kind of firmly on that side of the camp. Now, the ones that are trying to ride in between the two, Jared's true allegiance, of course, is to the Cirie side of the house, but he is successfully infiltrated and considered on the other side of the house on Riley, Jag, Matt side of things. Hisam is on the Cirie Felicia side. Cameron thinks he's riding the middle, but Cirie, Felicia, like they see right through him. Izzy see like obviously Izzy hates him, but he thinks he's right. Corey and Jared are really the only ones that are doing a really successful job of being middle. Now Corey's true allegiances, I feel like he's more on the Cirie side of the camp in his heart, but he is doing a great job of kind of riding the middle, as is Jared.
Yeah, so I have a criticism of Hisam, and there's a lot that I like about his game. There really is. There's also a lot that I don't like, and I don't understand why he is so combative and standoffish with somebody that he's playing with. Like, it doesn't, like,
Are you talking about Corey?
Yes, Corey, absolutely. And I
don't get it either, but he blatantly said out loud, he's like, I don't know what it is. I don't like him. But that has calmed down a lot.
But my issue is it has, but even today when he was having conversation with Corey, it was like very like condescending in a lot of ways where it's like, in the tone. And it's like, and I'm not like, it just really bugs me because like, go ahead.
It bugged me too. Until today, when I can see, oh, that's who Hisam is, because it's not exclusive to Corey. He's not intending it. I don't think it's intentional the way he's coming across, but I think his communication style leaves much to be desired. But I think with Corey specifically, he just didn't know how to connect with him, and I feel like we've kind of gotten over that hump. I don't know what happened when the live feeds were down. But I feel like that hostility has subsided. What's left,
I'll disagree there. I don't think so. I think the hostility's gone on Corey's side, but I don't think it's gone on Hisam's. I very much don't. I think Hisam's doing a better job of what I wished he'd done in the first place, of just kind of sucking it back in and just being like, okay, if this person's a number for our side, I can't really like.
That's what I'm talking about.
I shouldn't really rock the boat. But
that's what I'm talking about. That he's not being
but I
outwardly.
still think
it's not an Izzy Cameron situation the way it was 4 days ago.
No, but I can still hear it. Like I very much can hear it in the way like in the way he speaks to him. And I'm not saying that it's not improved. It absolutely has, but my issue, I apologize guys if I have to clear my throat. I have allergies and we're getting that season again. But so my issue is just he shouldn't have started that hostile, because now it's been really awkward for Corey to try and integrate himself, and I still feel like there is still some pushback, and I'm not saying that he's not working on it, right? But it's just like I do, trust me, hear it in everybody else, in the way he speaks to everybody else, but there's still a little bit different way that he speaks to Corey that still I can just tell he doesn't like him. I don't know if Corey's picked up on it. It kind of seems like he still doesn't think that Hisam's really on his side. And that's just my criticism of Hisam. I don't think that Hisam's like playing a super messy game. It's just like like, remember the video that I posted on TikTok? And it was when he was having initial game talks and Red walked in and he was like, "Oh, let me get off this bed. Sorry. I was just lying down for a second." Like his transition from game talk to non-game talk to try and be like, we weren't game talking,
Yeah.
was super awkward. So I do think he's done a lot because he is not doing that anymore. He's much more smooth. So I think he has learned a lot about the dynamics of the house and how to function. But I do worry that all of that, then coupled with the abilities he has in competitions, he's painting a massive target on his back right now. And I just wonder why he felt the need to win this HOH coming up. Because a lot of people did. He mentioned he wanted to. Jared said he wanted to gun for it. I'm trying to think. There were a bunch of people. Cameron said he wanted to gun for it. And there's another Matt said he wanted to gun for it. Well, Matt's been gunning for any HOH. And so it's interesting to see that, like, he's just so willing to be so forward so early. You know what I mean? So I'm just interested to see how that goes because um Corey's
I
another person I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find a good segue because Corey's also an interesting person himself that has lots of stuff because he got accused of being smug this first week. Like, had to have a conversation with Cirie. We didn't really see the smugness though that they seem to be referencing. I didn't see it. Like when we're talking about the nomination ceremony.
Mhm. Yeah, so what I was just trying to say about Hisam was I was trying to not do spoilers, but I'm learning more. I would say rubbed me the wrong way starting in. He I didn't understand his hostility towards Corey or those hostile feelings that he had. I feel like those have been reined in. Um and it's a little bit more level now, but after seeing more so his interactions with the rest of the house, honestly, I'm just gonna go on record. I just think he's a dick.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
no, I'm
I
not
don't
I'm not even
I
trying to
don't
say that he's doing this in a nice way. I don't think he's doing this
no, no,
nicely
no.
to
I
anybody.
mean, like, I don't I don't think he thinks he's being a dick, but
No.
I think that there is just some personality traits there that kind of give him a superiority complex a bit.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's so awkward.
I don't think that the Corey thing was exclusive to Corey. I think Corey struck a nerve with him that just highlighted personality traits he has a lot more.
I agree. I really think that's a great way to wrap that up in a
Mhm.
bow because I think that's really ultimately what's going to be his social downfall.
Right.
Because he had there are multiple parts of this game. There's the social game, there's the competition. You have to think about all of these different dynamics, and he's not done himself any favors.
Mm-mm.
And I'm just trying to figure out where he thinks his game's going at this point because he's playing so hard so early, and we're literally only talking about week 1 at this point. We could even talk
Yes.
about week 2 and he's playing just as hard. It's a big I don't know. It's just it. My phrase this year, I think, is going to be "it's a choice" because it's a
It's a
damn
choice.
choice.
Um
um. So yeah, and it's interesting to see. I mean, I do get why he might be having some frustrations with Corey because there's some things that Corey's not super smooth about. But like to go to the smugness thing, so we had this whole discussion about, and we didn't see it on the episode, which I thought was really interesting. But like this whole smugness thing was based on nomination ceremony, and he got pulled off the block. Corey did alongside Jared, and apparently there was a look that he made to somebody, or there was a reaction that he had that made Hisam just be like, "Wow, how smug!" And then Cirie agreed, a bunch of other people agreed, and that was when Hisam was like, "I can't stand him. I hate him. I can't explain why, but I just hate him." And it's like, "Jeez, there's a lot of hate going on in this house right
yeah.
now. Christ. It's interesting that there's
Mhm.
so much in week 1. I'm kind of worried this is going to get ugly.
Oh,
Ugly.
we are for sure gonna have we're gonna have some knockdown dragouts for
I
sure.
want a fight.
Um,
Give me a fight. I
not like an
want
ejection
a
fight,
fight.
which is a
No, we
great
don't want
segue
Willie.
to talk about our ejection this season.
I wish we didn't have to talk about it. You know, I'll tell it, but before we even start, I literally had a thought earlier this week where I was like, gee, I wonder if somebody will be ejected this year or somebody will walk. Because it seems to happen a lot nowadays where there's almost like one person a season that just goes bye bye. Like
Bye.
minus 1 or 2 instances, but just about every season
Now,
in the
it's been a
last 5 or
very
6
long
years.
time
It's like,
since we've had an ejection, but it's been, I'd say, the
yes.
last 6, 7, if not more consistent seasons where the public has demanded an ejection every season. And we just actually got one this year. And that was the ejection of Luke.
I want to put a
We
trigger warning up before we keep going, just in case people are not familiar with what happened. Just for hateful language. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, you're good. So yeah, Luke came into the house. He slept for the first 5 days. I don't know, just kind of hung out and refused to talk game with anyone, and then woke up and wondered why no one had talked game with him. And then he gamed really, I say gamed. He had these very entitled HOH like conversations with everyone where he was kind of holding auditions for who he wanted to work with. So he's always been a very interesting house guest, concerning. The house guests have made multiple comments on the feeds about how uncomfortable he makes them. Riley, in particular, did not want to have a conversation alone with him. He made
Rightfully so.
he made comments about losing competitions to a girl. And overall, just he doesn't. It's not that he came off like an asshole at any point in time. It's just he said really socially awkward and, as Corey would put it, off color comments that were just like, why did you just say what? You know, moments like this. All of that leading up to this very awkward conversation that he had with Kirsten that we saw on the episode. I had no idea that's who he's talking to, but he was kind of like, it is what it is. It sucks to be you. Keep your chin up. And then he goes to the have not room. Like, it was a very weird exchange. Then he goes in the have not room where Jared, Corey, and Hisam are, and was talking about Kirsten being sad and upset about being on the block and going home. And he made a comment about them sleeping in the have not room and ended it with the N word, a racial slur. Now, it should be noted that Corey, the camera, you could see Hisam with Corey and Hisam behind Luke in the frame. You cannot see Jared in this clip. And he said it, and their necks about broke when they whipped their heads over and
their eyes popped out of their head
they
like
popped out of their
crazy.
skulls. There's no way in bloody fucking blue hell Hisam did not hear it. That has been the big Twitter debate because on the episode he said, I did not hear that. You're full of shit, or Jared told you to keep your mouth shut. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is. I don't know his reasonings for pretending he didn't hear it, but he absolutely heard it. Immediate reaction was, I saw a lot of news articles and stuff reporting like he said it, they felt awkward, they immediately left the room. Well, Corey said, dude, you need to go to bed. You need to go to bed. And then immediately left the room. Where Hisam kind of watched them leave. I mean, Luke watched them leave, grabbed a blanket, wrapped around, and began to joke with Jared about how upset they were. And he didn't mean to say that. He's going to be in so much trouble. And then he tried to play it off like not seriously. He knew it wasn't serious. He's like, oh man, I just, I meant narwhal. I meant narwhal.
That was the part that when he was like, and he also said narwhal. And I'm like, what are you?
No. And then Jared told him, there's been a lot of discussion about Jared's reaction where Jared told him like white people make a bigger deal about it, and my girlfriend was white and said I don't know, but he kind of like brushed it off. Like I think I mean and he said in the diary room like I didn't know, I was shocked when he said it. I didn't know how to react. And those are his words. He said it in like in the DR in the episode. I think Luke, we all know, like, let's just call like what he said was inexcusable.
Oh,
How easily
100%.
it came out of his mouth is 1,000% in an indicator that it is part of his normal vocabulary. It did not awkwardly come out of his mouth, as many words do awkwardly come out of his mouth. That was not one of them.
No.
He, and then to be so cavalier afterward and brush it off like it's no big deal. And then you want to exit the house and post an Instagram story of a block of cheese, making a reference to the comment you made. Again, not apologizing, not taking it seriously. Like it's just, I don't know who this guy is, but I don't think all the lights are on in the house.
I'm just really disappointed because there's so many people that auditioned for this show and had opportunities to be on this show. And it's like, for you to just, first of all, we could even just talk about the fact that he wasted the first 5 days. And the day he decided to wake up is the day he decided to drop a slur. Like,
yeah,
I'm just saying, when your real personality comes out, it comes out damn hard, doesn't it? And it's just like, how, and boy, we've been pretty critical of casting in the past, and I just gotta say, just because you change a couple people at the top doesn't really mean that everything's changed. There's got to be an overhaul at this point because I can't understand. No, right, I can't either.
His preseason interviews and everything about him, I'm like, he's just like a soggy, wet blanket. Like, what was the thought process here?
I don't understand. And it's just, it shouldn't have been hard to figure out that he has these insensitivities. Like, he had insensitivities. The things he said and joked about when it comes to Matt and his deafness drives me up a no. Like, so first of all, he would just be like I can't remember what it was like. He made a really bad like ear pun when Matt was taking a shower, and he's like, oh, not seriously. And Jared was like, you aren't an asshole until you like point that out and then make it a joke. It can just, because it's just a phrase that people use. Like, it's not offensive. It's the fact that
it was like an earful or something, right?
Yes. It was something like that. And then the other thing,
or they would be having a conversation and Matt would say, what? And he'd go, never mind. Like,
that's the thing. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
That has pissed Matt off. And I know I'm almost talking like he's like Luke's still in the house. He's not, obviously. But that pissed Matt off to absolutely no end. He couldn't hear. And one of the other things we'll talk about in a little bit is how Matt has not gotten the accommodations he so rightly deserves. And it's really, really frustrating to watch. And so on top of that, Luke being an absolute asshole to him.
But like laughing about it like you're not being an asshole. Like it's a big joke. And it's just, no one's laughing with you. It is just the whole situation. Like, I mean, I think it was on RHAP where they brought up a good point. Like, the internet went wild with theories that Luke had a twin. Because he's such a wet, soggy blanket, we were grasping at straws collectively for there's got to be a solid reason they cast him. Because we've had assholes on the show. But they were campy-ish assholes that gave controversy in a way that I don't use the word entertaining lightly.
Yeah.
But I would say that, like, when you have an asshole, a villain in the house that's an asshole, it's in a way that kind of like serves that level of drama. This guy was just an asshole, but a boring one.
Yeah, just there was no point. He has no
Yeah.
charisma. Like I think the thing is when you like this cast has a hell of a lot of charisma.
Yes.
And I just don't know how he landed on this specific cast because there are people that I don't care for. Like Cameron has
Oh.
a stupid amount of charisma. He is not my favorite person, but the way he can connect with people in certain conversations is pretty impressive.
Well, even his
Um
weird conversations though, you're like sucked into the feeds
I
because you
don't
can't
understand. I don't
like
get it.
yeah,
It's
because
so
you're like
weird.
it's like you're watching a movie and he's a
Oh, it's like
character in a
watching a car
movie.
crash. It's like watching a car crash.
Yes.
You just it's a mess, but you gotta
With
just
Luke,
watch.
it was just one of those things where it was so cringy, but
Mm.
not in the kind of entertaining. I think of like the movie like Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers. Like it's just a
Oh,
movie of
yeah.
cringe, but like in a way that you could laugh about it. His was in a way we were like, okay, so anyway, like,
Right,
you
and,
know?
like, we would barely see him on the feeds, and honestly, when he would show up, I'd be like, "Please leave the room. I don't
Yeah.
really care, unless you're gonna add something of value to this conversation," which never happened. Like, to the point where and it was even shown on the air, he didn't even know Corey was on the block.
Yes. Oh man.
I just it's just so I'm glad he's out of the house. Let's talk
Can we talk about how
let's
CBS handled it or didn't
I
handle
was
it?
just gonna say that. I was just gonna do you wanna do that or do we wanna talk about
Yeah,
his
I
dad's
can.
response super quick? Because his dad is defending him. Let's just talk about this super quick and then we'll move to the next thing. But his dad is defending him and now saying, oh no, he's not racist because he has black people in his family.
Oh God. Oh Jesus.
He has black step sibling and a black stepmother and biracial cousins. And
Okay.
and he said that so that means he's not necessarily
We've
racist and he
never
hasn't
heard
heard
that.
that.
We've never heard that from a white man before.
No.
I'm not racist. I
It's
have black
just
friends.
but it's literally like with any sort of marginalized
I'm not
community
saying
when people say that
Jared
like that. It's
Jared
like
said it very
why?
very Jared did say, that malice and ignorance are two different things. Like it is different and we understand that. I'm not okay, I'm going to try to word this in a way. And this is not my voice. I said on Twitter, I was not going to speak on this, but I would elevate Black voices and Black creators. They want to share their opinions. And in those discussions, the collective response has been, and this is again, not my own opinion, or I don't have one in this regard. Um, I can I can confident my own opinion is that he shouldn't have said it. It shouldn't be part of his normal vocabulary. He shouldn't have been cast in the first place. And Jared, Cirie, Felicia, Nicole, Kirsten should not have been put in a house at 100 days expected to live with someone who could make them this uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Um, that being all that to say is when we're using the word racist, I do think that that definition gets so lost and the true definition gets lost because it is just thrown around. I am not saying that Luke is a racist person. He said a racially insensitive thing. He is an asshole and a very insensitive asshole. And his actions outside of the word have given context to this statement being more malicious. Maybe there's some ignorance in there. He might be ignorant to the fact of how he comes across or how offensive he is. Because again, he's not going around bullying people. He's just saying shit that makes people uncomfortable. So I do think that there is a difference there. However, I do not think that whether he is maliciously, blatantly racist versus ignorantly racially insensitive, I think both are equally as wrong in his actions and lack of remorse following the event and his refusal to acknowledge his mistake. I don't know what else to that sounds like such a downplayed word. Acknowledge his actions and take accountability for them and
Mm.
making jokes on Instagram tells us enough about his character as a human being most of all.
Yep.
So to
And I
label
wasn't
him,
trying
like,
to sit here and
I don't think he's gonna go and, like, join the KKK by any means.
no.
However, he is an overall insensitive person. He is racially insensitive. He is insensitive to women. He is insensitive to, uh,
The disabled
the
community.
disabled community. He, and that is a huge personality trait and character flaw that cannot be ignored. And your lack of remorse and willing to grow and learn from it says more about you than the word that you allegedly slipped out.
Yeah. I don't think I could really do more to add to that. I think that was a really, really well put explanation and response. It's
I hate
again,
that we
it's
have to
just
have these uncomfortable episodes every year. And
it's
I
so
say episodes on
frustrating.
Wicked Unscripted because we are two white women and we are trying to be allies and give voices, but like we're also trying to cover a show where these people are in here to win some money and play a game. And it's 16 people, 16 people, 17 people
It
out
shouldn't
of
be
the whole
hard.
fucking country. It shouldn't be hard to find people who aren't going to make us stop talking about the game and have to educate all the ignorant people on Facebook that are defending these people. Like it's just I'm just so fucking over it.
No,
Like we
I
all know that
agree.
these people are out there. We all live with them day-to-day lives. This is the reason that most of us aren't on Facebook anymore because that's where they live. But
Me
keep them off my fucking show.
It's getting really, really old. And like I think to cycle back to like we keep having to have this conversation. It's almost every single season. And while we didn't have a slur last season, it doesn't mean that we didn't have literal constant microaggressions and racially charged comments.
Mhm.
Like and so there's a lot of discussion about why CBS chose to take its actions now because we want to talk about CBS's reaction. So I think this is kind of
Right.
a good segue. Um, so a lot of people are talking about like why now compared to the past, and I think it's because my personal opinion is because of the precedent that was set during All Stars 2 when that
Mhm.
statement came out about Memphis Garrett, who was accused of saying the N word multiple times on the live feeds, and they came out, they said like la la la, we looked into it, enhanced the audio, we don't think he said the word. Then at the end it said, and I almost probably don't remember it verbatim, but it says like hate speech will not be tolerated in the Big Brother house, and anybody who
I have
uses
it.
hate
Do you
speech
want me
will
to
be
read it?
expelled. Go for it. Use. I'd rather have it verbatim.
Yeah. Sorry, I've been saving all of our photos from saving all. Oh my gosh, my scroll is just not. There we go. Sorry, guys. Do 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 do. Oh my gosh. Um, it is. It says this was the statement they released after the Memphis um social media outpouring. We are aware of the press reports about Big Brother fans on social media accusing a house guest of whispering an offensive racial slur during the show's 24/7 live feed. The producers have listened to the scene using enhanced audio. Additionally, the network program practices team isolated and played back the scene several different ways using professional studio grade audio equipment. After close examination, it has been determined a racial epithet.
Epithet. You good?
I know I can't. Like I know the word. I hear it in my head. My mouth won't say it. Welcome to
So good.
Texas. Um okay. Was not said or uttered. Hate speech will not be tolerated and those who violate the policy will be removed from the Big Brother house.
And so I believe that's where the precedent was set to have something like this happen. I think there deserves to be a debate though about what constitutes hate speech. And I'm not saying that there was necessarily because I'm very, I have a horrible memory, so I know lots of horrible things were said last season. I know lots of microaggressions were made. I'm just trying to, I can't remember like a specific instance where there was something that like literally would crossed a line to the point where like it was like production couldn't not intervene. But I also think that there were times that production should have intervened and said this is becoming a problem. They should address things like microaggressions, and like that's where I think things should kind of shift. So I don't know. It's just
I
wow, that was
think
a lot of thoughts that just poured
since
out of my
season
head.
15, we've been screaming at them. And I feel like once they
Oh
released that
yeah.
statement in 2020, they it is what it is. And they were held accountable for it. It did take them 11 hours, and we were all cheering like, yes, finally, CBS, thank you for doing something. And he was ejected from
Yeah.
the game. The feeds went down, and we were instructed that the feeds would remain down. They were going to address it on the Thursday night episode, last night's episode. So we went about Wednesday's episode. I guess they already had it in the can, but we have had last minute edits. We have had teasers at the end, announcer teasers at the end that have addressed, like the Paloma thing was addressed in the teaser at the end. And Wednesday night's episode, they said nothing. Nothing. The announcer, it was just like business as usual. We're like, okay, that's weird, but whatever. We get to Thursday night's episode, and it took Julie 12 minutes. It was 12 minutes into the episode. We already had another segment before them, and to talk about what had happened. And when I say talk about, I mean they played part of the clip, none of the aftermath. They played the conversation with Kirsten beforehand. Jared, a DR from Jared, and watch the house guest Riley come out of the diary room with a note from Big Brother, that a racial slur. Luke used a racial slur. We're basically just reading the policy, and then he had been ejected from the game. Shocked faces all around. Corey said, "I know what this incident was. Is everybody? Do we all want to talk about it since we're all here?" Everybody said, "Yeah." Like no one opposed. He said, "Me, Luke, and Hisam were in the have not room and Jared we're all in the have not room." And he used the racial slur in a broy. I think he used he was kind of broing out and talking and used it in that way. And then immediately regret that it was a slip up, and Hisam and I left the room immediately. And Hisam said, "I didn't hear that." And then Jared said, "I don't think you have a right to talk about this in front of everybody. This needs to be private conversation." And then we get a DR from Jared, and then we are moving on to the veto ceremony and the events leading up to the veto. Like, that was how it played out. We didn't get to see reactions from other house guests. We didn't get to hear how Cirie felt about it. They barely even showed their faces on the cameras as they're hearing about the news or listening to Corey. And I feel like the whole thing I remember just feeling this whole weight. And I'm sorry if I'm getting so wordy right now, but
No, you're fine.
I just remember this overwhelming sense of disappointment. Like, you had an opportunity. Okay, fine. It was not looking good when you waited to talk about it. Maybe you were just waiting till you had the time to talk about it and give it the respect it deserved. And they talked about it, but it felt very much like, hey, he said a thing. Y'all told us we had to kick him out. We told y'all we'd kick people out for this. We kicked him out. Jared said it's not that bad. Hey, let's go talk about this upcoming veto comp. And that was it. And I was so disappointed. Because I thought there was an evolution here, and it made the entire thing that I was so proud of, this progress that I felt that CBS had made, feel so performative.
Oh yeah. I'm disappointed just like you, because it's Trying to find different words you haven't used, damn it.
Sorry, I
No,
did use
you're
a
good.
lot of words.
Nah, you're good. No, but really, it is
I get very
it's
excited about this stuff.
because I'm not trying to say that we needed a certain reaction from the people in the house. It was that we needed, it just felt like we didn't get the reactions. It just felt like it was very pushed off, and it was
Yeah,
almost
I'm not
done
saying I
when,
wanted a certain reaction. Yeah, I think we just needed some, like, there are other important voices in that house that
yeah.
deserve a say in this.
And it just felt very much like it was like, this is how it, like, it just felt very much like, here's how the one black person who was in the room feels about it. We're going to leave it there. And I get that, especially if he doesn't feel comfortable like talking about it as a big group. Like, I'm not here to judge anybody who is black on their reaction
Oh
to
God, no.
this word being used.
I
um
I'm I think that the problem is not, like, I don't see an issue with it by any means. I have no right to see an issue
no,
with how
right,
Jared reacted. My issue is that Jared's reaction is not the only reaction,
right.
and there are viewers. There are, you know, you have black viewers watching this show that feel all different ways about this. And it's almost like you're saying that unless your opinion mirrors Jared's, then yours isn't valid.
It just felt very much like, here's really how we think everybody should view this, and not really offer up just a wide array of emotions. Um, because there, it's not like a black or white situation. There's so many different angles that people are coming from, and it feels, and if Big Brother is going to be a microcosm to the point where we're going to have racism in the house, or a racist um slur used, depending on what the situation is, it should just, it just doesn't feel right to not allow other people, or allow other perspectives in. It didn't really feel like there were other perspectives. It was just kind of one and done. And
Right.
it just, it to your point, really felt like they were like, we did the thing,
Mhm.
you guys happy now? And it's like, no, because this isn't what we asked. I brought this up on the live. I really wish they had covered it like they had covered the woman who was ejected from Big Brother in the UK. Her name was Emily. um she was ejected for pretty much the same thing, and Big Brother Wiki put it up, so big thanks to them for sharing the clip. It's on YouTube, I believe, but like, they were the one that shared it on Twitter and kind of brought my attention to it, because I'm not super familiar. But anyways, so I thought it was just interesting, because a lot of people, including Big Brother Wiki, were like, I kind of hoped that they would handle it like this. They weren't expecting it. It's just like, this would be my desire, because it was like a 7-8 minute long clip of them like being like, please tell us like what happened, and we want to hear, like, they wanted to hear where she was coming from, why it was said, and they had a conversation with her about why it was inappropriate, and then they were like, and then see you later. All we got from Luke was literally just him being downstairs the next morning brushing his teeth, being called to the DR, and as soon as I saw him go to the DR and the door closed behind him, I was like, that's really all it that's it. That's it.
Yep.
It just makes me feel like anytime this kind of stuff happens, it feels like it's like hiding what their response was behind the
Sorry, I hit my
scenes.
mic. I don't know how
No,
that
you're
was
good.
loud.
But like, it just feels like it's like they're trying to make sure that their response is as squeaky clean as possible. And it's like, it really shouldn't be hard to have a good response to this, though. Like, it is actually modeled for them in the UK version. Like, why
Yep.
wouldn't they want to? And it's just also kind of just feels like, and I'm not trying to be a jackass, but it doesn't really feel like some of these producers know this show as well as they should. First of all, that should have been something that they've known about. But then second of all, they keep getting people's names wrong, like Hisam. And I don't know if it's still going on, but as of a couple days ago, they were literally still calling him the wrong name. Like, I'm probably sure and like, it's one thing um to be in and out of live feeds, and we have a lot of other people to manage and monitor, and this isn't the only thing we have, but this is their literal job. This is
Yeah.
their job, where they have to sit here and monitor. It's like, how, like, if I screwed that kind of stuff up at my job, and it doesn't sound like there's much like change being made. I don't know. I guess that's just, it just feels like, how can this mistake still be being made this
Yeah.
late, like after almost a week? And they're like, yeah, still can't get his name. And it's like, that shouldn't be hard, but it's just frustrating.
Very
I feel
much
like a
so.
lot of it is just protecting themselves, and I do understand that to some degree, but whatever. So just like the episode, we're gonna move on now. At least we did better than the episode at digging into
I know
it.
we kind of already covered the atomic wedgie veto, where we already did say that like Hisam did ultimately he won the veto. We see the veto ceremony where he chooses not to use the veto. Very clearly, Kirsten being left as the target. As far as last night's episode goes with it, and then they address it. We have the Luke thing, and then we go into a vote. And I feel like a lot of people we were all kind of expecting, what's 100 days? You're going to be down two house guests by the end. This eviction's getting canceled. It did not. And I feel like the look on Kirsten's face, she was waiting for Julie to say, by a vote to blah, blah, blah. Kirsten, you've been evicted from the Big Brother house. However, and like, because she sat there for longer. It wasn't just like, oh, well, and then when it didn't happen, we're like, no, she's not going anywhere. There's a twist coming in. And then, yeah, she goes out to talk to Julie, and Julie tells her all the things that verify that she's not going to be back in the house.
Oh yeah. The fact that she spilled the beans about Jared being Cirie's son, that it just, sorry, I got a text message and I just had an ADHD moment.
You're good. Again, back and to add to the Luke thing, the fact that Julie did such a long, not just a long exit interview with her, but then showed her a lot of exit goodbye messages, and we hardly ever see that for first couple boots. There was nowhere in there that she could ask Kirsten's feelings on the Luke thing. And
she should have had the opportunity to
absolutely. Then on top of that, we're going to postpone the exit interviews an entire week. Why? Because you want everyone to forget about the Luke thing so that the exit interviews don't turn into that. That's what you want. The goodbye it was really, really funny when Kirsten's like, I feel like there were more people in the house. So Kirsten is a recruit. She does not watch the show. And it was just very blatantly obvious because she was like literally sitting there waiting for a goodbye message from every single house guest. And she's like, I feel like there were more people. And Julie's like, yeah, we don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, and I mean, there are things like when she was like, oh, I have to automatically do this, and I have to, like, there are things that, like, she unintentionally did that sunk her game, that she was like, oh, I just thought that's what we did, and it's like, it is, but it isn't. It is, but it isn't. It is, but it isn't. So, yeah, it still feels weird to have had that eviction just for so many reasons.
Yeah.
And then, but we can't change it. It's just it is.
It's less disappointing than how CBS handled things in the past, but it doesn't make it not disappointing. And then, of course, then we cut to Julie saying, but, here's the schedule. For now, let's eavesdrop on the house guests. And then house guests, and it's an empty house. And then we see a portal in the backyard where the house guests have been sucked into the scary verse.
Ooh. It just didn't feel like it just felt so awkward to have that kind of a transition after everything that went down. Thursday was so messy.
Oh my god. Do you know what it felt like?
What?
Oh my, you're gonna die.
Probably.
Anybody want cake?
Yes. Oh my god. But it really did. It was literally like we just had this whole climax. And then they sang happy birthday really freaking awkwardly, which was the freaking eviction. And
With
then
all the
everybody wanted
sad
cake.
faces.
Oh my god. It's perfect. It's the perfect analogy. They
Yeah.
just Keisha's birthdayed themselves.
Anybody want cake?
they just Keisha, I'm never gonna be able to pronounce it right. Keisha's birthdayed themselves. That's freaking hilarious. That's hilarious.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So that's where
So
we ended the episode. But we are going to have some discussions now. Yes, good job. With a little spoiler alert, we're going to start talking about the live feeds for this second week of competition. So if you don't want to hear what we have to say, it's been nice talking to you. So get out. But anyways. No.
Please keep scrolling is not applicable on here. But I will say
I was just gonna say, I'm like
scrolling.
I want us to say something. And I was just doing this off the fly, and I'm like, I can't say that. So just
it is
out.
I'm not I don't want to use the word weird because I fucking love it so much. And I don't want to sound like it's a negative connotation. No. But the number of comments I get about people loving the good morning, BB family. I'm Sarah. I'm here with a live feed update. If you do not want any spoilers, please keep scrolling. And like people, if I don't say it, people lose their minds. Lose their minds in the comments. So some people are very passionate about it, and I love it so much. So that being said, if you do not want any spoilers, please
keep scrolling. No.
Keep scrolling.
Go wherever you need to go.
Turn it down so it doesn't hurt our analytics, and just keep listening. I'm just kidding.
Go elsewhere, but don't go elsewhere.
Right. No, but just kidding. We don't care about that stuff. I mean, we do.
No, we actually, but that's actually the whole reason we give this to you guys is because we don't want to spoil stuff. But yeah, so feeds remain down until about just before 4 a.m. Eastern time on Friday. And most of us woke up to find out that the new HOH was Hisam. Boy, oh boy. So you know how I almost, if you caught that slip I had earlier in the episode, I'm glad
second place in the non-comp, first place in the veto, now first place in a HOH. He is setting himself up to be a comp beast. Wouldn't define him as that. It sounds like it was a rowing competition. And from what we have found on the feeds, the handful family style, whatever you want to call it, side of the house did not do well at all. I think I heard Hisam make a comment that Corey was the last from what he considers that side of the house left in, and there were still 6 of them left.
I picked up on that too.
Yeah, Jared. So that means that like Riley, Jag, they all draw. Oh, not Riley, but Jag, Matt, Cameron,
America,
Blue, America, that they all dropped pretty quickly, but it was a rowing competition. Jared did come in second and had to stay in the nether region and had to stay there for the majority of the day. I like your theory on it. We could talk on that in just a second. But it does sound like at this point, Jared was able to swap places with someone in the house and pull someone else into the nether region who would then get safety and would not be able to be nominated. And that person he chose was Jag, which I found to be a very interesting and very smart choice, because Jag is one that, keep in mind, the Cirie bye-bye bitches side of the house fully understands that Jared is playing both sides and feeding information back to them. They understand he's going to have to keep his cover, but Jag is one that they feel that they could pull in after they got rid of Cameron, Riley, things like that. So this was a good strategic move to kind of instill some of that trust in Jag. However, this really upset Riley.
She's pissed.
She's so pissed. We've had some tears. We've had some drama today.
Oh my God. More than we could probably recount on a short podcast episode.
Yeah.
It's
Do you want to say talk about your theory or
yeah,
no?
so I have a little bit of a theory, and I just posted about it on TikTok. So we don't have. I want to preface this by saying we don't have a ton of information still about the nether region, and what this is going off of is going off of what we know from the live feeds. We don't know. I actually probably should have. I should probably make a edit on one of my TikToks. We actually don't know how long Jag's going to be in the nether region. I
Mm-mm.
said all week, and I didn't. I should have edited that. That was just my brain thinking, going there right away. But he is in the nether region for some undisclosed amount of time. He is safe, and it's from what we've heard from Jared, it's not a nice place. Like, he said that he didn't have, either he didn't have a bed or he hadn't slept or something like that. He was saying it wasn't fun.
It's not pleasant.
And so what is it's starting to give Exile Island to me.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've not seen Survivor, Exile Island is a twist that was introduced during Cirie Field's first season. And it's a twist where one or two people get sent to this island where they have minimal supplies. They are totally isolated from the rest of their tribes for at least 2 days, if not longer. But they do have a chance, and this is the interesting part that I wanted to bring up. They do have a chance to look for the hidden immunity idol. And I think that's the most interesting part, because with all of the similarities between what we have with the Nether region and what we were seeing with Exile Island, it makes me wonder if by doing that, I don't know if Jared would have known or not, but I wonder if that gave Jag an opportunity to go get some sort of power, or if there's some sort of power that comes in play with the Nether region somewhere. Like, did Jared get it because he came in second or something? I don't know. But that's my theory. I'm curious to see if I'm right. I could either be really, really close or super off base. So I
I
just thought it was
love that
crazy.
theory.
I just thought it was crazy that all of these
I mean, all
similarities,
these
and I was like, oh,
Survivor crossovers too, you know?
well, that's the thing where I was just like, and it's interesting that they would do something so close to Exile Island, which was one of Survivor's most popular twists, and it started with Cerise season. It just, the timing feels interesting. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how it plays out, because if it plays out anything like Exile Island, it will be a good twist. But that is also to be seen, because that is all just my opinion. But it I'd be curious to know how long the Nether region's gonna last too. I love that little banner. That's cute.
We have a ticker.
I love it. We're gonna be playing around with some really fun stuff over the next couple weeks, because we're streaming through new service and doing all this fun stuff. So it's gonna be a blast.
We're moving on up.
Moving on up. But really quickly, want to talk about nominations, and
Yep.
then we'll
Well,
say
I want to
goodbye.
talk about intended targets, and I want to
Yes.
elaborate now that we're in the spoiler section on the Hisam stuff.
Yeah.
Hisam has been Hisam immediately got HOH-itis. I think he was just born to have
yeah.
it. I think this is just who he is. It took all 5 seconds. I think it was weird though that he didn't get all of his stuff in the HOH room. They're like, here, literally come get your shit from the storage room.
I was
They
like,
didn't
it's not
stock
like
the
there was
fridge. They
anything
didn't do
weird.
anything. They just
Why?
he had to go and get it from the storage room and bring it in. That's kind of weird. But they're all hanging out in the HOH room, and then he almost immediately kicks into like dad mode, and he's like, all right, guys, I'm gonna go to bed. Y'all are gonna go. And then tomorrow, like y'all get some sleep. Everybody go get some sleep. And tomorrow we'll all talk. We'll have one-on-ones tomorrow. Okay. All right. Good night, everyone. Like, it was very
I would have gotten an instant ick. I would have been like, not the way I like. Not the way I like to be spoken
he's
to.
like, I am large and in charge. Let's do this. He had that robe on. He was just living. This was his big boss babe moment. And I and then we get it some one-on-ones today. And holy shit, I think they're notable. When he met with Riley, so he told Riley, like, you're going on the block. You're going on the block. I'm not. I respect you too much to backdoor you. I'm not going to backdoor you. Okay, I'm
He
going to give
said
you an
so many times,
opportunity.
backdooring, I don't believe in backdooring
I don't
people. And I'm
believe in
like, I hate,
backdooring.
I'm sorry,
I'm
I
not
hate
doing
that
that to you.
theory.
You deserve a shot to, fight for your safety and blah blah
Boring.
blah. And then he said, that being said, who would you want to be up on the block against? And Riley said, that is not my call and that is not fair to ask me. Like, no,
No.
I'm sorry. Like, that's not for me to say. This is your HOH. As she should have. Awesome move on Riley's part. Now, because I'm sorry, that might seem, if you don't watch this game, or if you don't know this game enough, that is not the first time someone's been asked who they, if they sat on the block, who they would want feel safest sit next to. That is a trap. It is a trap because that information will be used against you. Well, Riley suggested to put you up on the block, and then I'm not the bad guy. Riley put that idea in my head. So
Yep.
like don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Riley handled this perfectly. Um it was upsetting. She's very very upset obviously. But then it's how Hisam talked to Jared about why he's targeting Riley and Cameron this week. Um it was Cameron is the other yes,
Yes. So
Riley
the
and
two
Cameron.
nominees for the week are Riley and
Riley and
Cameron.
Cameron. He said, if one of them pulls themselves off, then they deserve to be here, and then maybe we can work with them. But like they took a shot at us. They need to know that like shots will be reciprocated, and then we're even. Then we can start at a level playing field. But they took a shot at us, so we just naturally have to take a shot at them, and they have to understand. And then we can all be adults and grown-ups afterward, and start anew next week. But she made mistakes. She was HOH. She didn't even make her nominations. What? But then he's talking about like, yeah, she did make some mistakes. Yes, she did hang up in the HOH room too much. Yes, there was a perceived cliquey alliance. I get that. But like, don't come in here all fucking condescending like you're the BB god and saying like she done fucked up. She done fucked up and tried to take shots at our side. She put Miss Felicia on the block. Cause he wasn't mad that Kirsten was on the block. He's mad. He's like, she left Felicia up on the block. So this is just natural. This is just natural. Like, we're just going to take a shot at her and she just has to suck it up and deal with. This is Big Brother. She don't have to suck up and deal with shit. This is a
Yeah.
game. And his sense of entitlement here.
Yeah, that's really the part that, I mean, I'm not really surprised now that we've watched like his interactions with Corey, especially. But like I said way earlier in the episode, this is it's I don't understand why he thinks this is good gameplay. Like, just straight up. Like, what does
I
he
think
think
he
he's doing
thinks
to
that
help
he's just
himself?
being like real and blunt and honest and like I'm not being political with anyone. I'm not like I'm just being myself. I think he's just thinking like because he really does try to sell himself as like he's just a straightforward, honest player and a loyal player, which that's fine. But you can do it in a way where you're not sitting here like telling Riley, I'm putting you on the block and it's your fault for me doing it. And like I get like it's just a game. It's the delivery more than what he's actually saying. It's the delivery that hits different and hits condescending.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, that was interesting. But then, meanwhile, we've got Izzy wilding out again. And
Yay. So thrilled.
so there was this weird interaction in the HOH room where this is so ridiculous. Where Izzy said something to Red about sitting on Hisam's bed. And do you know what I'm talking about here? Do you know what I'm
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, while we're in our spoiler section, this could be maybe just a false alarm, but we just went to adoptable animals again.
interesting?
For the
It's
fourth
probably
time
having
today?
something but it's probably the nether region stuff with Jag.
Dear Lord, if I really put that TikTok up saying he was going to be there all week, and then I have to make another goddamn TikTok saying, just kidding,
Yeah,
because
I
my
don't
stupid
know,
ass
but
can't edit shit down.
I feel like as long as someone's in the nether region, we'll probably get animals when anytime they need to do something that involves the house. They did show on the live feeds Jared talking to the house guests through the nether region, through the memory wall screen for a little bit, but then we got animals. So I think they're like, we don't think we want people to see this part. So, um, but yeah, so anyway, the Izzy thing. So Izzy said something to Red about you can't sit on Hisam's bed, and he's like, "What? Why not?" And then Hisam like kicks everybody out, and then Izzy is like having a meltdown and like I can't win, and people just everything I say and do I'm wrong and blah blah blah, and they're all trying to calm her down, and Hisam has to come in and like calm her down in a weird way. And then but I want to talk about this because I really 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 liked the way Red handled this. Red talked to Cirie
Think so.
and Felicia, I believe, was in the room, but he was like, I don't know what I did. I don't want her to feel this way. I don't know what happened. That was really weird. I don't know if I did something to upset her, but I don't want it to come off like I'm being defensive or confrontational. I just don't want her to. And then they encourage her like go pull her, like go talk to her. Well, should you guys be there? Like he kind of looked scared, and like no, this needs to be between just you guys. And so he does go and get Izzy, and he's so respectful. He's like, and this is the way you handle this kind of thing in the Big Brother house. You don't just let something fester. You don't just dismiss it, because then it can just spiral out of control. The next thing you know, that your life in the Big Brother game is in that person's hand. He said, like, I'm not entirely sure what I did up in the HOH room. I clearly upset you. And if I did, I would love to know about this so that I can make it better or correct it. I'm really self-conscious about this kind of stuff, and I don't ever want to come off like a macho he-man, and I don't know if I came off as defensive in any way. And Izzy's like, you know what, like, it's not you, it's Cameron. It was Cameron sitting right there, and I just fucking hate him so much, and he gets under my skin. And he's like, okay, so it wasn't me you were talking to? And she's like, yeah, it was, but it wasn't you. That, like, I was just upset about Cameron being there. And so he said, okay, okay. But is there something that I have done to make our relationship to where, like, I mean, he just went about it like, okay, but clearly you and I are not in a comfortable place where, like, you felt that was, okay, an okay reaction to have with me, or I did something to offend you to where that was part of it. And Izzy did not confirm any, like, she was just like, no, it's Cameron, it's all Cameron, it's Cameron. And Red's like, okay. And I feel, and they ended up being okay. I feel like this was more damning to Izzy because she can be
Oh, yeah.
seen as somewhat of like a hothead maybe.
Oh,
um
definitely.
and
She
and for
loose
a player
cannon.
like Red, loose cannon, and for a player like Red, he could say like that could be dangerous for me, because I could like burp a weird way while I'm on the block, and Izzy like could spiral about it, so that could be damning. But I do like the way like Red's social game in this moment, where he felt that this tiny little nothing burger of an interaction in the HOH room could potentially spiral, and he needed to get ahead of it and establish some trust and relationship and respect between him and Izzy, who is so central to the Cirie Felicia side of the house. So I like, huge kudos to Red in this moment. But yeah, we did have some more Izzy drama, which will be really hard for production to put in the episode because it didn't make enough sense to put in an episode.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting that these viewers are just continually not understanding. I'm curious to know when they're going to get the real sense of Izzy. Like, I know
Yeah.
there's probably a montage coming somewhere, but Jesus
Mhm.
Christ, like, better happen fast because they need to find out how off the wall she is. And, like, Jesus,
It can be
it's,
very random, you know, like he
oh,
was
yeah.
sitting on the bed in the
It's
HOH.
it's so awkward too because like when it happens on the feeds it just gets overwhelming when it's just all day and it's like yo I think it's because like I feel the energy and I'm like I can't handle this constant like just like stressful energy because
Yeah.
like she never calms down ever like period it's just always a
Mhm.
heightened state of go 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 and it's like yo
Oh
I
my
get it because I
god.
probably would be that way in the house and I'm not
I
trying to say that's a bad thing in the house but it's so overwhelming
I
dear
fucking
lord.
died. Did you see Amon's tweet when Jared was in the nether region and Izzy and Cirie? It's a picture of Izzy and Cirie sitting outside and they just both look so chill. And Izzy's just kind of like propped up in the chair, like next to Cirie. And it was the adopted Fields child is looking a lot more relaxed now that the sibling is in the nether region or so, looking a lot more comfortable next to Mama Cirie or so. And
That's
the
so
way
funny.
the cackle, I cackled.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Yeah, that relationship, I'm as I said earlier, I'm going to be really really curious to see where that goes moving
Yeah.
forward cuz Izzy's actions if they don't change, they're going to continue to put a strain on the relationship and the only reason they have this relationship with Izzy right now, in my opinion, is because Izzy knows about it. Like I feel like we're going to start seeing more and more of that as it comes out where Cerie's going to be like, look, it's not that I dislike Izzy, but she is so dangerous for my game and I don't know what to do anymore because like this is so much. And yeah, I don't know. It's hard to find words for Izzy. It really is. I
And I've
try to
been
be kind
watching the
because I
live feed updates.
understand.
We haven't gotten a whole lot new. So the way this is gonna play, so noms have already happened. They will play veto tomorrow,
Hmm.
and veto ceremony will be Monday.
Correct. So we got a busy week ahead of us. But anything else you want to chit chat about before we wrap up?
No, check out the articles on realitylately.com. Um, Abigail has been busting her butt making some amazing content for you guys. Live feed
As have
update.
you.
Well, thank you. Live feed update articles have been lacking the last couple days just because of the on and offness of the live feeds. Um, but those will be back on track by tomorrow. We might have missed a couple days in there, but nothing that we
It's just
didn't
kind of
cover
it got
in the
messy.
episode. It got really
It got
messy with the
messy
Luke
with
stuff,
the
and
yeah.
so there is an article on the Luke thing, and then the live feed updates will resume tomorrow on the website. But in the meantime, you can follow us on TikTok and Twitter. I'm Sarah Talks Big Brother on TikTok and Super Sarah, or you just actually on Twitter, you could just search Sarah Talks Big Brother. I come right up. And you want to
You're
get
stealing my
yours?
whole outro, girly.
I'm trying to get our banner ready.
Well, with that, that wraps up this episode of Wicked Unscripted. So tune in next week. We'll talk more about week 2, talk about how they are portrayed on the episodes, what else we learn on the live feeds, intro to week 3, and all that craziness. Boy, that last week felt like a month. Boy,
Oh my god, I'm
dear
so tired.
Lord. I'm going to sleep the sweetest sleep tonight. I don't care if I miss the live feeds for another night. I need rest. But anyways, keep it here if you want to hear more about Big Brother 25 because you know we're covering the whole season. As Sarah mentioned, you can check out our show on realitylately.com. You can check out the podcast and quotes. So check it out. It's down there below. If you want to ask a question or share your thoughts, leave us a tip. Email the podcast at wickedunscriptedpod, P-O-D, at gmail.com for more. We are always looking for fresh and diverse voices to join the conversation. And with that, we will see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Bye.